So today I'm getting ready to put the primary case on the bike as we work along and assemble everything. A lot of people say just grab it, put it on. Sometimes it's not that easy when you're building something custom, and it takes time to have everything done right so it doesn't create problems for you later. So we're going to go along and get this primary ready, and we'll walk you through it as we go, and hopefully we'll teach you little tricks and things to watch out for yourself and save you some aggravation. Okay, let's go. As with every primary case that you get, when not just the primary but other things that are powder coated, a lot of times there's a little bit of powder coating on the inside lips where you want your gaskets to run and stuff. So I take the time to clean all this off and sand it off, and we've got a nice smooth surface. I know a lot of the chrome ones are quite irregular and the gasket takes up for it, but it's just another one of those little things that I like to do to ensure that I'm trying to make the best seal I can in that area. One of the things with having your parts powder coated are all the threaded holes that are in things. A tap should be run through all of them, and I'm going to kind of show you why. This hole here looks, like it's got powder over the edge of it. You can see the hole, but I know there's powder over the edge of it. So we're going to take a pointed tap first, a straight tap. Thing to remember that all these holes in these cases are not through holes. So you don't want to drive anything down through, you just want to go down there and bottom out lightly and wipe it off. So we're going to go do that and continue to go down through our holes. Once we've got that done, then we'll go blow them all out, get anything that's in there out. If you didn't do this when you went to put your derby cover on, some of your screws might seem hard to put in at some point. You go, geez, that's a hard one to put in. And next thing you know, you got one binding, trying to rip the threads out of it. Most of the time, this is what the problem is. I find that, there's always that little lip at the outside that'll fool you. If your thread gets a bite in it, you'll want a thread down in there, but it's not necessarily in line with the threads, but you're thinking it is. So this will just save you a little bit of grief later on when you go to put your cover on. Now I've just got these last two holes to do, and like I said to you before, when you look in here, these are solid plugs in here, solid aluminum, so that your threads can't go through, and that's why you're careful going down through. So we'll just try to get these ones done. This should be done with all your powder coated pieces, and then blowing out to get any powder that was trapped in behind them, any dirt or sandblasting compound. Although my parts come back pretty clean from Denver, you always suggest I go over them, get the stuff out. Sometimes they're pretty clean, other times there is little pieces trapped into the back through the whole process. It just didn't get out. And a little piece of powder coat on your threads is hard. You can imagine it almost like a piece of chrome jamming in there, and imagine the damage that would do if you're trying to thread something in, or something stuck in the grooves. You can hear that. Now's also a good time to go over all the parts you took apart and you put in plastic bags so you knew where they would be, and you search out this little drain plug. Believe me, that drain plug can get lost pretty easy. So I'm just going to put a little bit of thread sealer on it because I like it, and I find it, it gets into all the threads. Does a great job for sealing it up. Don't forget your little rubber O-ring on that, which we've put on there. So now when you think you're ready and you go to put your primary on, and you're looking at yourself and you're feeling all good and you're going, I'm putting the fluid in now, we're getting that close, and all of a sudden you look down and there's a big pile of fluid rolling out. It's because you forgot that little plug. So it's a good time to do it now. Something that always takes time. And their primary cover screws all ready with their washers, so when it comes time to put it on, we won't be digging around for washers. And then Loctite on your hands when you're dealing with your painted surfaces or your powder coated surfaces. Loctite don't like paint. Paint don't like Loctite. We get all these screws ready, and Then we'll get over to the primary case and start our installation. So we've got everything cleaned and ready to go. Our outer case is all cleaned off and blown out. Our inner case is ready. We've set our chain tension here. The only thing we'll have to come back and do is set up the clutch when it's time. But other than that, she's all torqued up and ready to go, as you've seen in our other videos with getting the starter ready and things like that. So we're gonna go ahead and do it. All right. Okay, we're gonna get things ready. One of the first things we're gonna do is, when you get a primary gasket, you should get 2 of these little gaskets with it as well. If you don't, and you pick up a primary gasket and you don't get one, ask for it, because they go right on here. These little gaskets add the thickness to the back, and when you tighten your center ones in, it keeps you from trying to draw them in and break the case. So you have to have those on. So every time you have your gasket off, you want to check that these haven't fallen off, or you got a good chance of breaking your case in the middle. Now, to make this job a little easier, you know, as everybody knows, when you try to put your gaskets up here and get them lined up on there, you think you're doing good and you start moving your case in, and oh, you know, all of a sudden this one's popped down or it's fallen down on it. You've got to take your case out and everything off your hands. So what we found is an easy way is I've just got 4 little 1/4 inch, I guess they were 4-inch bolts that I cut the head off of and put them in here. So we're going to use those as dowels. Got your dollar, I'm in the wrong hole. Yeah. There we go. And we just screw these in like finger tight. I just put them in there so, and kind of stagger them around places where you know the gasket will try to creep in. Especially on the bottom right here. They usually sag down, and that causes you a problem. So I put a little bit of engine lube in there, in the primary case where the shaft goes, and a little bit on there just to help it out. Okay, check the bottom ones there first so I can see those, and by using the bottom ones first, now it's on there. No muss, no fuss, no bother, no dicking with your gaskets, having a hard time. They just slide on there. And by leaving these so long, they're easy to get back out, and that's the reason for them being 4-inch. That's why I like it. So we can go along now. We've got all our screws ready. Actually, we can start putting our screws in here, and we're certainly not going to tighten them down. This really helps, because even pinching those, getting them caught in screws and things like that, can cause them to leak. And these win our inspection cover, and we'll have to go get a little ratchet for those. So now we're just going to go around and torque them up. We've got the torque wrench set to about 110 to 120 pounds. All right, so again, it's handy to have your manual to know where you're going. This will be number 1. Here. On. So what we got now to do is put our derby cover on, and we've got our gaskets. One of these, I really like them because they seal it up in there, and they have one hole that's sort of triangular, and you should try to make that your top hole, I found. And thread your screw into that. Thread it through it. It'll sort of get you lined up. The other one should fall in place. You don't want to force them through the gaskets. You should just go slip in right through there. We're not going to Loctite them or anything here because we'll have it off or do some work on our clutch and set it up to where it needs to be. And then when the final time comes, we'll Loctite everything. But this will keep the dust and dirt out for the time being, and besides that, I like to have a look at it. Just a little bit here. What's happening? Okay, seems to be nice and free. So we started to put our cover on there and ended up we had a bit of a problem. As you can see, it's hard to hold this. Those two screws are a different length, not by very much, 1/8 of an inch. That's enough to make it bottom out against those spots in the back of the primary that I showed you before. So we're going to go along and change these out. They were just ones I had around, but evidently they're too long. And we'll put the proper length ones in there, and then we'll come back. So that was the difference in the screws. We're going to leave the top one in just to keep it in line for now. Go back to getting these ones in place. So that just goes to show you that the smallest of things can mess you up. A person might have noticed it. You might have compressed it down fairly close, but you certainly would have had a leak out of there. It's good there now. So that's it. Just a little tip and a lesson learned. There, so I hope that helped you out a bit. A couple little tricks there, something that I caught myself. It can happen to anybody. There's no sense hiding that. So I just like to go along and do it just as if you were doing it. So now, we can go along and work on something else, but I'm glad to have this side buttoned up and start getting at the little things now. We're getting close, so I'm feeling good about it. So if you like this video, subscribe, like, ring the bell, do what you gotta do, and we'll see you next time on the next video.